is Techstrong TV.
Hey everyone, Mitch Ashley here at Atlassian 24, Team 24, excuse me, here in Las Vegas, Nevada. We're talking about a lot of different topics, of course, because Atlassian covers a lot of space within our world. And one of them is ITSM. So I'm have the pleasure of being joined by Edwin Wong, who is head of product. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. I'm the head of product for our IT market. So that includes Jira Service Management, which is our sort of flagship product.
Excellent, excellent. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself. You've been here a little while, I understand.
I have. I've been here at Atlassian now, coming up to 18 years.
Wow. So are you in the single digits employee number or under 100 or?
Under 100,
okay.
2 digits, yeah.
Yeah, very nice. Wow, that's a badge of honor, these days it is.
It's great to see the company grow.
It is, fantastic. I mean, talk about the ITSM market. Things have evolved so much over that period of time.
It has.
ITSM was a hot thing in the US. It's still really, it's still hot, but especially in Europe, it's very much part of it. What's happening in that space to start with?
Lots of things. First and foremost, I think AI is a big thing, and it's coming hot and real into the ITSM space especially. We look at AI and we talk a lot about different applications, but if I look at the type of work that enterprises go through, that companies go through, there are a few areas which I think are more likely to be disruptable and affectable than service management by AI, largely because some of that work is quite repeatable, right? And it could be quite sort of business as usual type of work. So I think it's a very, very exciting time to be in this space, and we are doing a lot of interesting things to redefine what a product for service management could look like into the future.
That's a great way to phrase it. I was thinking about, everyone has a co-pilot in their product, right? And we're all paying $20 a month or $9.95 a month for that co-pilot. It's a good introduction for Gen AI to talk about that part of AI specifically. How do you find the places, or how do you learn and discover this is really a game changer, or will make a big difference for our customers applying AI into this space, as opposed to being a shiny object decision to say, this will be nice and flashy. It's not really that big of the right use of it quite yet.
Yeah. If you look at the bulk of the volume of work that's coming through in service management today, a lot of it is about getting answers, right? How do I reset the password? How do I get access to the system? I have issues of connectivity. And you start to realize that a lot of that work could actually be answered by AI, as we even look at the technology and how we apply it even in some of our early prototypes, 2 years ago, whatever. We're like, oh, wow, it really could answer a lot of these questions. So that potential is definitely there. So we're starting to really see AI coming in here and taking away that notion of, oh, you got to raise a ticket for that. You got to raise a ticket for that. You got to raise a ticket for that. So it's really changed the game now to be more about experiences. It's got to change it to be about, hey, Mitch is coming in. He's got a question. He could conversationally ask it and get an answer straight away. So that even the whole idea of just like, hey, let's go create a ticket is really going away. Now, what's exciting here is the ability for you to get real good answers. Yes, we're going to have large language models, all these different models that are floating around. And I think the ability of them to logic and reason and all those sorts of things is going to improve. But it's still got to be based on what knowledge do you have about your company and your systems, right? And how they're connected together. And that's really where I think Atlassian's secret sauce comes in, because we bring so much of that understanding of the teams, your work, your knowledge, and integration with third party as well, to really sort of tie it all up together and allow AI to run on top of that to actually give customers really meaningful results. And we're really seeing those results already come through. It's early days, but we're seeing a couple of customers already really generating effective answers. One that I'm very excited by, and I'm going to share in our conversations, is a gaming company that has managed to effectively cut down the number of tickets that needs human intervention by 85%. Whopping 85%. So that's pretty exciting in my perspective.
My use case is if we could just get rid of the "where's the any" button. I'm just kidding. Old joke. One thing you said that was really fascinating to me is changing the user experience. I mean, think about not everybody's in the technology field in our industry. And there's a fear intimidation factor of, I don't want to open a ticket and somebody's going to read it and they're going to think I'm stupid because I'm asking a dumb question, and it really isn't. But there is just that, kind of fear factor, that intimidation. Seems like with AI, we're used to querying things in Google. We're used to asking questions or say, how do I, or where is the any button, or whatever it might be. How do I do this in the game, right? Kind of thing. It seems like that might be part of helping transform the experience.
Yeah, absolutely, right? So I think in some ways we're conditioned in the past to really needing to know where to go for answers, right? You need to go, okay, I need to go to that system, or in some other scenarios, it's like, I know that Mitch knows about this, so I need to hit up Mitch, right? So there's a lot of, I think, intuitive understanding and knowledge that's required to even know where to go.
That's a really good point.
And I think one of the big opportunities of AI and Atlassian's vision in this space is to go, well, that's all fine and good when, I've been here for 18 years and I know all the links and connections. But for a new employee, how do you know? Where do you go, right? There's all these systems, there's all these people. What do you do, right? And I think it's going to be a pretty big drag in terms of productivity. If you think about just every day, every employee going, they'll probably have a question of some kind, and they're just trying to figure out where to go to get it answered. Our vision really is to take that and say, you know what? Well, you don't need to do that anymore, because what we're going to do is we're going to provide effectively a AI-powered virtual agent that talks to you.
Onboarding assistant or something.
Exactly. And it will be able to understand what you're trying to ask, and then it can pull from all these different sources of data, whether it be your knowledge base, from your service desk, or it could be a third-party system. And it just sucks into, it just takes all that. And because of the large language models and the AI capabilities today, it can pass through all that, actually give you an answer that just speaks English, not like, oh, here are 20 links, now go forth and you may
figure out which one applies to you.
Exactly. So that's a big vision of ours. And I think that will be really the future of what experience for, service and support's going to look like.
So how do you populate, I'll call it a knowledge base or whatever, what a representation LLM or whatever it might be, and how do you populate that? Are you pulling data out of what you've already been doing? Because 25 people asked that question this year. Yeah. Here's generally the answer to that.
Yeah. My biggest excitement really is that, well, you don't need to populate it. One of the challenges in service management in, the years past, before the sort of this prevalence of AI, has been the difficulty, and it's kind of like a catch-22, because knowledge is difficult to populate, but if you don't have good knowledge, no one uses it, and if no one uses it, then you don't want to populate more of it because you're not going to get the returns. And so we've always had a lot of challenges in this space around knowledge and capturing knowledge and sharing that knowledge. But AI changes the whole game, because what it's saying is, well, actually, you don't need to go out of your way to capture that knowledge. That knowledge has always inherently been there. It's just not in a nicely formatted knowledge-based article, as you put it. It could be in a ticket. It could be on another page somewhere. It could be in another document.
Somebody's notes, right?
Somebody's notes. And as long as you're integrating with those systems, now with the power of AI, it could crawl through those, and it can actually make sense of them and give you the answer. So the answer is you don't need to populate it, because it's always been there.
How do you, sort of a general AI challenge we have, especially with generative AI, is hallucinations, where you'll get a response that sounds perfectly reasonable and it sounds like it knows what it's talking about, but it actually, like I'm early on, I said, generate a resume or a bio for me, for Mitch Ashley. And I was like, well, it was good until then, but I've never had any of those. But it sounds like I had those jobs. How do you manage that part of it so that you do want the answers? You want the reliability, accuracy factor to be much higher than just querying ChatGPT.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one of the biggest challenges, obviously, we've heard from ChatGPT is the hallucination problem. And in a lot of ways, I think things are still being figured out in terms of how is the best way to address it. But in terms of our application of that, I think one of the ways that we're really tackling this is to allow the owners of that service management solution to also have a level of control. So it's not just, hey, everything goes straight into a large language model and out comes the answer. We still allow in our solution a facet of control where we're saying, hey, if Mitch is asking about these things, which look like this set of intents, so it could be a password reset, it could be a, say, asking for access for a different system, something like that. The administrator of our system can still say, well, in that case, let's go through a more controlled flow. Right? Call it like a curated flow, where it would then go and say, oh, which system do you want? Why do you need the system? Give us the specific details of it so that we could set you on. So again, it's a combination of control as well as the open freeform. So that's one of the ways in which we're tackling that problem.
Does that involve bringing a human into the loop, going off autopilot?
It could, but it doesn't have to.
It doesn't have to.
What it allows is that control and that flow of information and capturing the right information. And every step along the way, as you interact with this, and it's still very much a conversational experience, what you get is actually a validation of that's what the customer's trying to do, right? You just say, hey, can I get access to the system? You're going to present, oh, which system do you need access to? You present a bunch of options and they start choosing one. And so you're following a path that's a little bit more scripted and also giving you confidence that, hey, it's not hallucinating. It's not doing something that's, completely off the side.
Great. One of the other kind of challenges generally with AI, generative AI, is domain-specific information. I don't want my stuff going into somebody else's large language model, whatever it might be. There's RAG, retrieval augmented generation, to help management. How are you handling that kind of a challenge?
This is very interesting, and one area that we're paying a lot of close attention to. So it really comes down to trust, in my opinion. So as we're investing heavily in the application of AI, we're equally thinking a lot about how we can ensure that trust, which is why we've built in a lot of trust safeguards in our system to ensure that data that's put in, UGC that's put in, is not, ever going to be shared. Any sort of insights that we're drawing, obviously, is going to be effectively summarized and call it unidentifiable, right? So that's the key thesis of it. But fundamentally, we are very much invested in ensuring that we continue to respect and trust that privacy that customers are looking for.
Excellent. So I also worked in the security industry, so you'll have that kind of paranoid side, right?
Yes.
I always wonder about people. There's a social factor of social engineering, getting information, hacking systems.
Yes.
Do you see potentially us building safeguards maybe down the road of, if someone starts asking these kind of questions, or this many in these areas, or this sequence of, that might at least produce some red flags to make sure there's not an insider threat or something like that. Do you see that as a potential value for this?
I think so. And there's a different bits here, Mitch, but I think one of the things that we are definitely investing in is not just, okay, here's AI, ask a question, it goes away. But it's also taking the interactions that we're seeing and applied through AI to draw insights from it, right? Okay, well, what are people really asking? What are the big sort of challenges that the customer base is facing, the employees are facing? And so one of the big investment areas that we're doing is to actually draw those sorts of insights from the usage, create analytics for you to see. And I think through that, you'll also start to see some patterns, maybe some identify some potential threats that may also be coming through. So that will also be an aspect of it.
Interesting. The great thing about launching an AI-based product is you get all those, oh yeah, but what about questions, right? We're all trying to figure out and
exactly
probably discover and learn together about that.
Absolutely.
Anything else in terms of announcements that you want to cover?
Yeah, we're, as you said, Mitch, we're focused a lot this year on how AI could really change service management, and we've done a lot to think about the experience of service management, how you can get support, how you can get questions answered, especially in an AI-driven kind of way. There's a huge opportunity there. But beyond that, we're also investing a lot in helping the teams in the back end who still need to answer questions when it falls through that self-service model. And there's a lot of investments that we're also doing actually to help those teams actually operate and run services every day. A good example of the sorts of things that we're investing here would be a recommendation, right? That as you're working through a particular problem space, it could jump up and says, hey, have you considered this and this do you know that Mitch is actually an expert in this area? Maybe you should reach out to Mitch because Mitch will probably be able to help you.
He's online now.
Exactly. And so there's a lot of opportunity to, I think, also inject AI, not just in terms of self-service and employee and customer experience, but also actually helping the teams. Now, we've also heard about Rovo, which is the new product that we're launching, about really taking that to the next level and having a virtual teammate who's jumping in here and helping you with identifying, opportunities for efficiencies, but also actually helping you take action, right? There's a point where you could have an operational issue, say, you have an incident, and Rovo can say, hey, this looks like something that's happened before. Did you want me to roll back that change that may have caused this outage? And it could be as simple as to say, yes, please roll back Rovo, and it will do that for you. So that's also a big part of what we are talking about in this our team, all right, the launch of Rovo, and how it could really become part of your team to help them also do amazing work in the back end as well.
No, it's a really great. It's great to see we're moving into the space of how do we fit into the workflow itself as opposed to being the query and answer.
Yeah.
It seems like one of the things that we all struggle with is the complexity and keeping up with what's happened, what's changed. Seems like another use case would be Rovo saying, well, and by the way, Edwin, we have a different procedure for that now.
Yes.
And it's much easier, faster, here's how you do it. So you don't have to go learn those things yourself. So it can help you point down the path to maybe a better one than you're pursuing.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the world of operational response, there's this notion of a run book, right? So if you're like, hey, it looks like this type of issue, it's at this particular severity on these systems, then you do this. It's a very ripe area for AI to actually inject and recommend run books and go even further, actually take action and run the run book for you and actually ultimately help you maybe even resolve the outage without much more human intervention.
So what if you roll tape backwards 18 years, what are the chances that Edwin Wong of 18 years ago would be talking about AI today?
Wow, that's a left-field one. Weird.
There's no run book for that question.
There's no run. No, not for that one. But in a weird kind of way, I would have said maybe 18 years ago that I would say AI. I would do it, right? That would be my bet. To me, AI has always been a when, not if, right? And so it's just very, very exciting to see that that's sort of taken center stage. I think, as we see these waves of technology advancements come through, then, we have this at our doorstep. And I think it opens up such a huge new world. And as you mentioned, Mitch, I think we're all going through it together, learning through it with our customers. So a big part of what we're also trying to do is just listen and learn, because I don't think we have all the answers. That's why we're doing this here today, is to learn from our customers to say, actually, this is how we think it should work, or this is what we're seeing. These are some of the challenges. And I think it will evolve a lot in the coming few years as well.
There'll be the day when we won't give it a second thought, like we don't give having a cell phone or a smartphone
Absolutely
a second thought.
agree. Absolutely agree.
Edwin, it's been great talking with you.
Fantastic.
And great to hear the progress. I'm so glad that we're applying AI, not in just the shiny object ways, those are great and cool, but, and every day trying to reduce toil for workers, helping people do their work more easily, getting answers faster. That's all good stuff.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Mitch. Thank you for your time.
You bet. Edwin Wong, who is head of product for IT services, ITSM, it's transforming too, right along with all the other parts of the world that we work in technology today. So we appreciate Edwin stopping by. We'll be back with another great interview in just a moment.